Welcome to the Team Engagement Podcast, where leaders of teams share their insights. Brought to you by Blue Sky Business Consulting. We discuss 5 questions in about 15 minutes. Hello and welcome again, everyone, to the Team Engagement Podcast, where leaders of teams share their insights. I'm very excited to welcome, all the way from England, this is Allister Frost, and he is a leadership consultant, a speaker, an author, and all sorts of great fun things, all surrounding leadership. So, Alistair, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to join me here on the podcast. I really appreciate it. And tell us a little bit more about some of the projects that you're working on.
Oh, this is a real treat for me as well. I'm working on helping people keep up and thrive in our incredibly fast-moving world. I was in the tech industry at Microsoft, and I've worked with thousands of people over the years. I'm absolutely focused now on trying to rescue people, as I say, from premature obsolescence, I think we could probably call it. You know, where we fail to keep up, where we don't know where to turn. There's this new skill I think we all need, which is keeping up and doing it in an intelligent way so that we can prolong our careers for as long as we choose.
Oh, I really like that. And it's a challenge. This is a very fast-paced world that we live in, as you pointed out, and being able to kind of navigate our way through that, very important. So that's good work that you're doing. I'm excited to hear a little bit more about your approach. All right, well, let's go ahead and jump to our questions. And our first question, Alistair, how can leaders create a psychologically safe environment in their team or their company?
Oh, psychological safety, we all know it's important. I think the single most important thing today for leaders is to be humble, to have the confidence to admit that you don't have all the answers. And it's unreasonable for anybody to expect you to have all the answers because the world is moving so quickly. And having that humility to say, I don't know, but we're going to work together and we're going to figure this out is incredibly empowering for individuals. In a way, you're kind of admitting you're not safe because I can't protect you. But actually what you're telling people is together we're going to work on this. And so it's not you and me, it's us. And I think that humility is absolutely key for every leader today. Tough skill to learn, especially if you've been around the block a few times and your status, if you like, is built on knowledge is power. Actually having the confidence to say, you know what, this is all new. But we're going to work it out together.
Love that comment, and especially to have the confidence to say, I don't have all the answers, because that almost sounds counterintuitive. We kind of look at it and we think, well, I'm supposed to have all the answers, and there's this pressure from the team or the company to have all the answers. But to have the confidence to say, we don't know. And I really like what you said, Alistair, about saying, I don't know, but together we will figure it out. And that is a principle of resilience and confidence that I think it just is so critical. And I love that you talk about the importance of psychological safety as a team effort. And it's so critical, so critical.
Absolutely. It's a new skill. So we've all got to learn it. We've all got to figure it out.
You're right. And it is a skill that needs to be developed. Some people, yes, you could argue that some people are born with certain skills, and that is to an extent true, but development and self-awareness, all those things, very, very important. So I'm glad that that's something that you're focusing on and helping people do.
It's the first step in anyone who wants to be future ready, if you like. I teach people about a future ready mindset. The first thing you have to do is accept that what got you here won't get you there. And it's okay not to know, but you have to have the ability to focus on the steps that you need to get you to where you want to go. And that's a new job, and that's okay. And that's what leaders have to bring their team along with them.
Love it.
On that journey.
Absolutely love it. All right. Question number 2. Think of someone that has had a significant impact in your life. What is one word that you would use to describe that person?
Ooh, I'm going to go with trusting. The first boss at Microsoft that I had, and this is a long time ago, 25 years ago, said to me, my son had just been born, and he said to me, look, this is going to be really tough. It's a hard work. There'll be times when you'll be burning the midnight oil. There'll be other times when you're not so busy. I trust you to work when it needs to be done. And you know what? If there's no work that needs doing, go and play in the garden with your son. Go for a walk. Do something that you want to do. You don't have to chain yourself to the desk. That trust was so empowering for me. And it told me that the I was being treated as an adult. I can make my own decisions. And it was the first time I really felt that actually I had some autonomy within a large organization to be myself. So yeah, the word would be trusting.
I like that. I like that word a lot. And that says something about how you remember that leader. And therefore, for all of those leaders out there, do you trust your people? Why or why not? If you're feeling like you're having a hard time trusting somebody, that may be something to examine. But yes, and you used the word empowering, how empowering that was for someone to basically just say, I trust you, to work hard when it needs to happen, and to not feel like you have to be chained to the desk.
Yeah.
Great comments. Great
And
comments.
you know what, Sean? Here's the best thing of all. I worked harder because of that trust. I put in more hours than I would have done otherwise. I wasn't knocking off at 5 o'clock because I thought, right, I've done my shift, I'm done for the day. I valued playing in the garden with my baby son so much that I had no problem putting in an extra 2 hours in the evening, but if I felt that that was appropriate.
It was
So
needed. Yeah.
it pays back. It's a
Yes.
really lovely thing when leaders can figure this out.
Oh, I love that. Great. Thank you so much for bringing that to our attention and to the forefront there. That's great. Question number 3, share your thoughts about fostering a growth mindset, either in yourself, just as an individual, or as a leader leading a team of people.
Well, this is interesting because I talk about future ready mindset. And I sometimes in my mind, rather grandly, I equate it's kind of like growth mindset plus, because I think there's a big problem with growth mindset. So if you want to foster growth mindset, this idea that we can all learn and grow and develop through life, I think you've got to give people not just the notion that they can do that, but a reason to do it. And I have this thing called personal mission. It's a closely aligned purpose, but it's really about who you are as an individual. And everybody is different in every organization. Some might be a young parent, for example, as I was with my son. Some may be approaching retirement. Doesn't matter. You know, the different life stages, different outlooks. You have to have a reason to want to change. People only change when they want to change. And growth mindset is absolutely true, but it doesn't work for most people because we're busy. We've got a lot on our plates. And so for me, if you want to foster growth mindset in a team, you've got to start with what is your motivation? What do you believe in? And the personal mission I describe it as how are you going to earn your success in the service of others? What is it about your job that brings value to other human beings anywhere on the planet? Not necessarily your colleagues, your staff, your people in the business, but people in the real world. How are you making the world a better place? Because when you identify that, I think you have a reason to grow your mindset. You have a reason to keep growing and thinking and learning. Just being told you can grow, it's not enough.
Does it do it? Does it? Yeah, that's a great comment. I love how you describe that because that is what happens. That's what happens when people just start kind of going through the motions and doing whatever they are supposed to be doing, but they lack that deep sense of motivation and desire to grow and to contribute and to sacrifice and to put in some time necessary to really dedicate themselves to growing in a steady way. I love how you describe that. That's fantastic.
Well, look, let's be honest. If growth mindset alone worked, we'd all be, I don't know, astrophysicists. We'd all be speaking 17 languages. We'd all be geniuses right by now. But it doesn't work because life gets in the way. So for leaders, I encourage them to talk to their team and really try to get to the point where it's not just a job. They're not just, paying the bills. They're actually believing in what we're doing and wanting to do it better, wanting to make a bigger impact on the world. And that will be different for every single person, how that plays through. So I call it a personal mission. When your team has got that, they have a compelling motivation to want to grow as well, to want to put in the extra effort that's needed to learn and become the better person they can be.
I love it. Love it. Great comments. Okay, question number 4. How can leaders, especially, there's a lot of talk about emotional wellness and some of those really important topics in today's world. How can leaders really manage emotional wellness?
My mind immediately goes back when I hear this question to that thing about humility and being open enough to say, look, we're in this together. Because I think those things are very closely connected. Emotional wellness is something I think we all have to take very seriously. Some people poo-poo it and they think, oh, it's just people making up some disorder or some reason why they can't work, or, I'm having to tiptoe around issues. And you know what? Maturity in leadership tells us that everyone is different. and everyone is in a different place, and we carry lots of baggage or no baggage. And leaders have to sort of be tuned into that stuff.
Right.
So when leaders are humble and open, then I think that can really help. The other thing I would say is when leaders are curious about what people can achieve and how they're going to solve problems, it can imbue so much trust from the individual that they'll want to open up. They'll be more transparent with their emotional wellness, and actually, oftentimes, some of the barriers that might have been there in the past that were holding them back will dissipate because they start believing in what they're doing. So curiosity is one of the things I talk about a lot, and it's great when leaders, if somebody says, "Oh, I'm struggling with this work," say, "I'm curious. Why, how might you solve it? I'm curious to see how you could solve this problem." Empower people in that way, and actually then they can take on sometimes more than their emotional wellness would allow them to take on if you just gave them a diktat or an instruction or a directive that said, "You've got to do this by Friday at 4 p.m." It's like, I'm empowering you. I know you can do this. Let's work it out together.
I really like that combination of both humility that we talked about a little bit earlier, but also this idea that we need to kind of understand ourselves and the emotional well-being and that curiosity that you talked about ourselves, about what we can accomplish, but also, and you pointed this out, but as a leader, we can start asking questions. Tell me more. I'm curious. Tell me more.
Yeah.
I love that idea of curiosity. I'm always excited when other leadership consultants bring this idea of curiosity to the discussion, to the table, because I believe so much in the importance of curiosity because it spawns new ideas. It causes us to ask better questions. It
Yeah.
helps us to connect with people better when we have a sense of curiosity, and that's tied very closely to humility. We talked about this earlier, but if you're not a humble person, you kind of think you've got it all figured out. That sense of curiosity gets diminished. And when we have humility, the curiosity goes up and we start learning and innovating a lot better than we did before. I love that. That's a great
True. And
combination.
listen, as leaders, it's very easy to make assumptions about people, to label people, to sort of categorize them as, "Oh, that person's lazy, that person's never happy," whatever. And actually, there's a reason why that's happening, and that's when the curiosity can really help, because when you talk to a person, human to human, and you genuinely interested in trying to uncover what it is, and you can get them to open up, then you can start to realize what it is. And sometimes, as I say, that means their emotional lack of wellness, if you like, can dissipate to some extent because it was actually the toxicity of the relationship that was fueling a lot of that. So, yeah, curiosity is one of my superpowers I talk about all the time because it's something you cannot delegate to AI or technology. You can't ask ChatGPT or a large language model, how to solve something that requires human to human curiosity. So it's an amazing skill for leaders to have. And it pretty much guarantees you'll have a job for as long as you want it as a leader if you can master that.
I love that. Great approach. All right. So, everybody, all the audience, everybody remember curiosity. Very important trait to develop as a leader. Love that. All right. Question number 5, our last question. Tell us a little bit about your first job.
Oh gosh, that's going to take me back because I'm terribly old now. My very first job, I love my first job. I grew up at the seaside in the United Kingdom and I worked in a beach cafe, clearing the tables, emptying the bins, bringing in the ice cream deliveries, in the hot summer months. It was a wonderful job. I look back on that with such fondness because it taught me the merits of really hard work. I mean, it was brutal. You'd be in early, you'd work very long hours, and you'd go home exhausted. But I still love that feeling. I don't know about you, Sean. I love that feeling of being
Yeah.
tired through purposeful effort, through
Yes.
productivity, and also the joyous beauty of feeling like I earned that money
Yeah. Yeah.
and I made somebody's life better. I talk a lot about what do you do in the service of others. We touched on it with the personal mission. But that was any customer facing role is very privileged, I think, because you can see the whites of people's eyes. You can see firsthand how you've made their life a little bit better. And it might just be that you gave them the ice cream that they wanted at the beach. But that was a moment that wouldn't have happened without you.
That's
And
right.
when you recognize that, you can start to see it's not just a job, you're doing something that's making the world a little bit better. One ice cream at a time.
Oh, What a great story. I love that. This is one of my favorite questions simply because I get to hear about some interesting jobs that people had, but not just the job itself, but why. Why? What was it that they liked about the job? What was it that they hated about the job? So,
Mm.
and I agree with you that there is very much a fond reflection on just a hard day, whether it was your first job or not, but working hard and earning and really feeling like you earned your money for that day. And I love that. That's a great approach.
I think the older I get, the more true this feels to me. The true source of happiness. I started off in life probably like a lot of people thinking it was money, thinking it was possessions. And whilst, of course, we all need a certain amount to be, safe and to be secure, more money doesn't make you happier. It just removes some more of the sources of unhappiness if you're lucky. What makes me happy is when I put in an honest day's work and I earn my success in the service of others, and I can go to sleep at night thinking, I'm tired, but I made a difference to that person, that person, that person. And that's a beautiful way to drift off at the end of each day. So you wake up raring to go again the next day.
Oh, that's a great approach. Let's drift off with some sense of impact on the people that we've met, and that warms us up for the morning when we wake up. I like that.
Exactly.
All right. Well, Alistair, thank you again for taking time to be on the podcast. How can people find you?
Well, they can stay in touch with me if they can spell my name. That's probably the biggest challenge. But actually, probably an easier way. If you go to Ready Already is the name of my book, and ReadyAlready.me will explain all about what the philosophy of a future ready mindset is, but also give you links to connect with me and get in touch. And please do get in touch. I love to hear from people. I love to hear people's stories of how they are coping with keeping up with the crazy world that we're living in. And if I can help anybody, all the merrier.
Oh, fantastic. Well, thank you again. Really appreciate it. And best wishes for a happy 2026. And to all of you who are joining us, we appreciate your participation every week here on the Team Engagement Podcast. I wish everyone a great day, and we'll see you again next week. This is Sean Richards with the Team Engagement Podcast, where leaders of teams share their insights. Be sure to follow or subscribe to the podcast so you don't miss an episode. And for more leadership tips, pick up your copy of Rapid Fire Leadership by going to rapidfireleadership.com, where you can also download free resources to help you in your leadership role. Thanks for joining us today. Have a great day.